Boys and everybody, welcome back to another forum video, and today we're going to be asking the preseason testing 2026 questions. Roll the intro.
Get in there, loose!
Great job with the strategy. Championship.
Just don't hit on me.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking 2026 preseason testing Formula 1, and the main questions I believe that need to be asked going into preseason testing and my thoughts on these questions. Now, of course, you know, 2026 new rule changes. We don't know what's going to happen. Anyone can come out on top. There could be a Ross Brawn situation with Brawn GP and freaking Cadillac win. I don't know. But like, a lot of things are going to happen in 2026. Formula 1 World Championship, and I'm all for it. So, the first, obviously, question we're going to have to ask is the new cars for 2026. What they're going to look like, how they're going to go, how they're going to sound. We have had a couple of engine sounds already, but just the whole concept of new 2026 cars. There are smaller cars, more simple cars, and really what they're going to look like. I'm excited to see, and it's really going to shape up the grid a lot, and I'm pretty excited to see what the cars and what concepts teams come up with for the 2026 Formula 1 season. Another major question that we're going to ask going into preseason testing, who is going to be the first car on track? Now, I believe the first car on track, on the tarmac, going into preseason testing day one will make a massive, massive statement. I believe it's going to be between two teams. Either Cadillac will make a statement saying, you know what, we're here in F1 with the first car on track, ready to go. The lights are red in the pit lane, and turn green to the first car on track. Hello Cadillac, hello Formula 1. Or I believe Williams will be the first car on track to make a statement that we are ready for the 2026 Formula 1 season. So it's a question that needs to be asked. Who will be the first car on track going into preseason testing 2026? Also, going into 2026 preseason testing, will McLaren be on top? That's a massive question that needs to be asked. They are the Constructors Champions of 2024 and 2025. Obviously, the World Champions of 2026, the Drivers Champion, Lando Norris. What will they do? Like, how are they going to be? I believe they're actually going to be lower than what people think. I think it's going to be very difficult for Lando to retain the championship in 2026. I don't think they're going to be up there. I think they put all the eggs in their basket for 2025. Which I guess they've won 2 Constructors Championships. They won the championship, of course, with Lando Norris. That's the real big question. Will McLaren be on top? My personal opinion is obviously no. But some people are predicting Lando could be up there for the World Championship. Of course, we're going to have to look at Piastri versus Lando Norris. Now, the big question is, will McLaren start favouring Lando Norris going into 2026? He is the champion. It happened with Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel, where they started favouring Sebastian. He could win more championships. I think it depends on what car McLaren have. And I think that Oscar's going to be very, very hungry to become champion for 2026. I just don't think he's going to have the car. But I do believe that Piastri will edge out Norris for 2026 World Championship going to the end of the season in Abu Dhabi. But we're going to have to wait. Piastri versus Norris. I don't know who's going to get the better. I'm predicting Piastri. You guys tell me in the comment section down below. Piastri versus Norris. Of course, Isaac Hadjar is moving to Red Bull, and I can't wait to see what Hadjar does against Max Verstappen. Does anyone really believe Hadjar's going to beat Verstappen? No, simply no. I think that Hadjar might be up there, might do better than everyone that's probably being teammates with Max, including Sergio Perez. He actually didn't do a bad job considering what other drivers have been doing. I still think Hadjar's I think Hadjar's gonna struggle a little bit, you know, considering the car is built around Max and really suits Max's driving style. And a lot of drivers really come in there and they just can't comprehend and cope with that type of car that Red Bull has produced. But it is 2026. New regulations, new changes, and maybe Hadjar might excel with the new car, and maybe Verstappen will struggle. But I highly doubt that. I still think that Verstappen will get that edge over Hadjar, and we're gonna have to wait and see what Hadjar can do with his new Red Bull livery and Red Bull gear. Obviously, we saw him in the post-season testing of 2025 in his Red Bull gear, but now we're gonna see a full-time Red Bull seat, Isaac Hadjar, and see what he can do for the 2026 Formula 1 season. Of course, the question has to be asked, will Lando Norris retain the championship in 2026? Now, I've obviously spoken about this before, but that is a massive question. Like I said, simply no. I don't think McLaren are going to be quick enough for the 2026 season. I think Piastri will leave an edge. Lando Norris, like I've already said. We're going to have to obviously wait and see preseason testing how McLaren obviously go. But I think they're going to be maybe the 4th or 5th quickest team on the grid. I don't think they're going to be up there. I've done my prediction on who I think is going to be the quickest, which we'll get into very shortly. But yeah, I just don't believe that Norris will retain the championship going in 2026. We're going to have to wait and see. Like I said, I don't think he will. I think Norris will win one championship, which he's already done, and that's it for his whole Formula 1 season. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens at preseason testing. Also going to have to see what Lindblad does for RB. Obviously, he's going to be the only rookie on the grid for the 2026 Formula 1 season. Now, Lindblad is a pretty interesting talent. I'm not going to lie. When he jumped in the Red Bull for his practice sessions, he really impressed me, and I'm excited to see what he can do. He's a young talent, a hot shot coming up in the world of Formula 1. Do I think he's going to beat Liam Lawson? Listen, my favoritism towards Liam Lawson says no, but realistically, maybe there is a chance. Lindblad is a really talented driver and might be replacing Max Verstappen for 2027 if Verstappen decides to leave and the car isn't good. So, I don't know. I'm really excited to see what Lindblad does in his first outing for Formula 1, his first outing at preseason testing, and the question has to be asked, how will he perform during the preseason testing against his teammate Liam Lawson and pretty much entering the world of Formula 1. Of course, we're going to have to guess who will have the strongest engines in 2026. Now, a lot of people are actually saying Mercedes, and I'm going to agree with them. I think Mercedes will have the strongest engine for 2026 moving forward. I think that they're going to be quicker, obviously, than Ferrari and the other engine suppliers. Now, yeah, I think that the engine to have is going to be Mercedes, and I believe that Williams, obviously with that Mercedes backing engine, is going to be absolutely strong, which we'll talk about the favorite team going in the 2026 preseason testing. But I believe the best engine for 2026 you guys can have, or any team can have, is definitely the Mercedes engine. Now, who will be on top going into 2026? Now, I just spoke Williams, but I spoke Mercedes engines. Now, I'm going to say Williams and Aston Martin will be the top two teams for 2026. I believe that Aston Martin will actually top the 2026 preseason testing times and preseason testing laps. I think it's going to be Aston Martin, Williams, then Ferrari. I believe Fernando Alonso will be topping the sessions and will be topping preseason testing. I've obviously made a prediction video on who I believe will be the world champion for 2026, but I believe Aston Martin will be on top for 2026 Formula 1 preseason testing, especially the first, second, and third days, and obviously moving on to Bahrain and stuff like that. There is multiple tests, but looking at the whole test package overall, I believe Aston Martin will be on top and Fernando Alonso. We also can't wait to see the Cadillac car reveal. Obviously, I think they're going to be one of the first cars on track, either them or Williams, to make a statement. But I can't wait to see the proper livery in the 2026 preseason testing, see how Bottas and Perez really perform, and obviously the return of Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez returning to the Formula 1 grid. And the whole thing of Cadillac and the excitement around it, can't wait to see how the world of Formula 1 reacts, seeing Cadillac on the grid. I don't know how they're going to go in preseason testing. I think they're going to be really average, but it's going to be an awakening call for them, and we'll see how they go. Maybe they can do a Ross Brawn and Brawn GP, like I said before, and win the championship. I doubt it, but you know, anything can happen in the world of Formula 1 when there's new rule changes. But Cadillac F1 2026, let's see what happens. Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas. I don't know where they're going to end up, but I'm very keen to see where Cadillac end up and how they look, and I guess the whole package and how the team respond for the 2026 preseason test. Of course, obviously, I make helmet reviews, as you guys see all the helmets in the background, so I can't wait to see all the drivers' helmets for 2026. And then I can obviously make a video explaining what helmets I believe I want to buy for 2026. Obviously, in 1.2 scale, as you guys can see, their collection's pretty massive. The helmets for 2026, I'm very excited to see. The drivers I'm really looking forward to is Liam Lawson, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc. Obviously, both Cadillac, Valtteri Bottas, and Sergio Perez's helmet. Being a new team will be cool to see their helmet designs. They're just some of the drivers I'm really looking forward to. The main driver I look forward to every year actually is Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton always releases awesome helmets. Being a 7-time champion, I've got the Hamilton collection behind me there, sorry. And yeah, I can't wait to see what Lewis brings for 2027, hopefully, for 2026, sorry. Hopefully it's a red helmet, a Michael Schumacher inspired design will be cool. But yeah, the helmet for 2026, can't wait to see what the drivers release. And that's another question going into my mind for the preseason testing. And I guess the helmet releases for 2026 Formula 1 World Championship. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see what Audi's preseason testing does. Another question is Audi's preseason testing. How are they going to go? How are they going to run? I believe they're probably going to be the slowest on the grid for some reason. I got this feeling. I don't know. I believe Cadillac will be faster than Audi, but I'm really excited to see what Audi's livery is, how Hülkenberg and Bortoleto, really perform. I think Hülkenberg will be on point. Obviously, Hülkenberg getting his first podium, more relief now. They wanted a German driver. I still believe Mick Schumacher deserves sort of that seat. But Hülkenberg really deserved that. I can't say he didn't. He got the podium for Sauber and really performed. He's a great midfield driver, Nico Hülkenberg. Obviously, at an older age, so it could be his last season. And then we've got Gabriel Bortoleto, who I think didn't do too bad, obviously, in his rookie season. Wasn't the best rookie season of all time, but wasn't too bad. I believe he deserved to go another season for 2026. And now this is, I think, make or break for Gabriel Bortoleto going into 2027. So we're going to have to wait and see. But I am a fan of Gabriel Bortoleto. I think he's a great driver, and we're going to have to wait and see how he performs in 2026. I think it's a make or break year for him, make or break year for Audi. but I just don't see him performing too well. I see him getting points, but we're going to have to wait and see what their preseason package brings. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Audi can do and pull out of the hat. Finally, the last question I've got for the 2026 preseason testing is, how will Lewis Hamilton fare up with Ferrari in his second year with Ferrari? Now, this is going to probably be a make or break season for Lewis Hamilton in the sense of maybe he might retire. He believes he has many more years, but I don't know. If he really struggles again, I think it's going to be really hard for Lewis. When Lewis struggles, I believe he just gets really down when he's succeeding and he's winning. He's on a massive high. I think he's like very like that as a person. But I don't know. I'm very excited to see Hamilton's second year in Ferrari, second year, trying to win the championship. I believe that he might have a little opportunity. I've explained myself of who I think is going to be world champion in the previous video for the 2026 championship. But I believe, I can't wait to see what Hamilton can do in his second year. Do I think he's going to beat Leclerc? I don't know. I'm going to predict it now. I think he will. I've also predicted he hasn't, so I don't know. It's hard to say. It all depends if the package suits him, if he likes the cars. But I'm just all around excited to see what Hamilton can do in his second year in his second year at Ferrari, because Hamilton's an exciting driver. He's a 7-time champion, knows how to win races, and obviously had a really bad 2025. But 2026, I think he can turn stuff around, being the 7-time champion, being determined. So yeah, all right, guys, that's been my questions for the 2026 preseason testing. If you guys have any other questions you guys reckon that I should have said, tell me in the comment section down below. But I'm excited to see what preseason testing brings for the 2026 Formula 1 World Championship. You guys should be too. Give me your predictions down below. Yeah, so if you guys want to answer those questions, you guys can down below. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Bring on the 2026 Formula 1 World Championship. F1's around the corner. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in my next Formula 1 video. Thank you.